Hi, good afternoon, good morning, and good evening, wherever you are. My name is Yogi Rampuria. I'm a Principal Solutions Engineer with Yugabyte. So we are going to talk about the public sector transformation and how delivering always on services with distributed technology is being achieved by Infocom Media Development Authority. I have Pengxiang Feng, who's a senior manager at Infocom Media Development Authority, a very good friend of mine. I would let him introduce himself before we jump into what IMDA does. Wenxiang?
Hi, Yuki. Thanks for inviting me for giving the speech here. My name is Wen Xiang. I work as a senior manager in IMDA. My primary role is the technical consulting as well as technical evaluation for different various robust startup products. So yeah, happy
Wonderful.
to see. Yes.
So for our attendees, to keep it in context, why are we here today? We are here to answer two key questions. What are the problems that Infocom Media Development Authority is addressing, and how does distributed SQL fit into it? So I would like to ask Wenxiang to actually walk us through what Infocom Media Development Authority does and how it is addressing the common problems.
Okay, if you are in Singapore, you probably heard about IMDA. IMDA actually do a lot of governance regulation to the Singapore digital economy. And you probably heard, if you are based in Singapore, you probably heard about the news for example, that the past few years we did the TV signal cut off from analog TV signal to digital TV. And we coach senior citizens to how to use smartphones. We
Yes.
regulate telcos to protect your bills wouldn't go that higher, for example. We also enable different technologies such as 5G, such as the digital infrastructure to be ready to serve the citizens. A lot of story about IMDA. Probably I give you an overall picture of what IMDA does in the next page.
Yeah, my favorite one is keeping my bills in check. Always happy to spend less.
So we name ourselves as the architect of Singapore digital future. So in terms of how to achieve that, we want to transform the Singapore's economy through digital, as well as that we want to build a cohesive and digitally inclusive society. For example, during the COVID period, we teach even as of now, the program is still on in the library, right? You can see that we got some people that are here to teach the senior citizen how to use smartphone, how to use SingPass, how to use PayNow. So we are quite ground touching as well. For my role, I working on the highlighted in the red area, which we developed the vertical of the ecosystem, which in the next page I will share you in terms of what exactly I'm doing. I'm a technical role, so that I give you a broad view that how we treat the ecosystem is. We help product companies, especially the frontier tech companies. In my team, we run two programs. One is called Spark, one is called accreditation. Of course, another team, my colleague may take care of the younger startup like conceptualization, as well as those companies already mature enough. We also have other programs to cater with. In our two major programs, my team is running actually the most sound out one is the accreditation. Accreditation actually started about 10 years ago. We have the very good reputation across the 10 years. And if any of you coming from public sector, you probably heard about the Greenland or you work for public sector. The Greenland basically is the procurement approach sit on top of other procurement methodologies, for example, the bartender, for example, open tender, ITT.
Yes.
Greenland actually sit on top of everything. They have the option to, we call it consider first. Means if the product is very good to use, it's a startup company, it's innovative, all the procurements happening in government statutory boards or ministries, they need to consider first of those companies. So under accreditation, actually we are the one to put the product to be in the Greenland. For Spark, actually we start this initiative about 4 to 5 years ago. We try with different approach and eventually we finalized as we call it Spark program. Spark
Yes.
program basically is to allow those companies which haven't reached to the accreditation stage, but in the Spark space, they want to enjoy the benefit. They want to participate in the ecosystem. They want to hear the ecosystem, how the training is, actually we spin up the Spark program to allow them to be ready there. So the Spark program may be slightly younger, but it's enterprise ready. They might have some shortage to develop further with, but it's ready to fly. Yeah.
Yes. So, I mean, in summary, Spark program is really helping the early stage startups to
To be
basically
ready to
part of the
accreditation,
ecosystem.
yes.
Let's actually talk a little bit more about this entire portfolio of companies that you have. Can you walk me through this?
Sure, sure. Actually, to our accreditation program, we have a very outreaching team as well, not just me. I'm from the technical role. We got other colleagues that coming from not technical point of view. For example, finance, for example, Wingwork. Wingwork basically for helping the company to secure deals after accreditation. In accreditation, we're not just giving them a certificate. And then after that, we do nothing. No, we are helping the company to grow. That is our eventual goal. For example, in the last 10 years outcomes, right? We can see that we help the company to secure a lot of fundings to accelerate the company growth, as well as that after the company accredited, actually they are be able to accelerate or triple times of their revenue. But there are 5 companies, they already achieved the IPO stage, and
Yeah.
a lot of companies are merged or acquired by other uh, tech giant or business owners. They know the product is good, they acquire to it. That is what we consider graduated from our program.
So,
And
I mean that was about the Spark program primarily, or broadly about the accreditation program. Can I ask you to explain a little bit to our listeners about what does the accreditation entail?
okay, the accreditation process actually it's not that easy to achieve to a lot of company. Firstly, we shortlist company. Doesn't mean as long as you are a startup, you can come here and to be accredited. We have limited effort, so we cannot help all the company. So what we are shortlisting is the frontier B2B tech products. In terms of why it is B2B tech product, from my view, B2B firstly is very scalable. So you build a product, you can sell to all the organization. It sounds like copy and paste. You can receive the revenue stream.
Sure.
You can also sell to other countries in the region or globally. So that is scalable in terms of business outcome. That is why we're helping those companies instead of a services company. Service company will be very limited by the project you can deliver. That will be because Singapore is so small, we cannot afford to host all the people. If the business reach certain stage, actually they cannot scale easily. That is our primary concern. And for the company, once it's shortlisted, we have multiple track to evaluate the company,
Mhm.
plus the product. From product angle, we do technical assessment that will introduce later. Actually, beyond technical evaluation, we also have other colleague to evaluate the product business as well as the finance sustainability. All of us knows the good tech doesn't mean good success.
Yes.
So we need to make sure the company can sustain over the next period of time to help their target customers.
And this obviously is this is a very big slide, I would say. It entails around your entire portfolio of companies, correct?
Yes, actually over the years, right? So when the company onboard the program, our team actually are hand-holding the company to go to the market to build their pipeline. Even when their customer have the demand, we can be the middleman to bridge the business. We create exposure for the company to talk to various events. We also host event to invite the company to talk over the event. In our portfolio, you can see quite a lot of companies across various industries, including AI, cybersecurity, robotics, media, so on and so forth. And it's forever changing. Right now, we are also looking at a lot of LLM, for example. So
Hmm.
a lot of innovative companies are building applications on top of that, leveraging that. The industry is forever changing, so we are also forever catching up with that to help the ecosystem to grow faster. Along the years, we realized that the product is so good, so innovative, but for the business user to understand the value of it and transform their business into with the product, which is quite challenging. I mean, that typically can happen during tech refresh, but upon tech refresh, they don't know what the product can do and how the product can help the business. So we introduced the Tech Acceleration Lab. Tech Acceleration Lab also trying to help the company to know more about the enterprise grade infra as well as enterprise grade compliance setup. For example, in government,
Yeah,
actually, a lot of startup company, they are very good in their product, but
yeah,
in terms of meeting the project needs, for
yeah,
example, how to deploy the product, how to meet the security requirement of the business owner in government, actually also very tedious for people to reach that level of product benchmark in order to be deployed in government infra.
yeah,
A lot of startup company very painful on that. That's why we announced the Tech Acceleration Lab program to help the company to gain the experiences to deploy for government customer as well as accelerate, uplift their capability to be able to meet their future customer needs. We launched the program in year 2021, and in the first year, actually, we only do for a few pilots. The result is very significant, and as of now, we have about 40 product deployed, and almost every product can get some POCs, and eventually the conversion of to be a paid contract is also quite significant. In the TAL, what we designed the procedure is firstly we are not just give them the sandbox for them to play with.
yes,
We firstly conducting a brief workshop
yes,
for them to understand where their customer come from, why they ask a question. So give them a full picture of it and where are we playing with it. And eventually when we bring them to the sandbox, they only lost that what to do, right? So we give them the architecture review. We get our IMDA level architect who are taking care of all government system in IMDA. They will help us to review the architecture, give the recommendations, suggestion for them to improve the product. Then after that, we deploy in the sandbox. Eventually, we invite the government users through various events, various exposure to get them to try the product and validate their business statements, whether this product can be helpful for them to meet the needs. And along the years, we noticed that startup company may not just work with government. So we launched the enterprise sandbox as well. Enterprise sandbox, basically we built in the best in class practice in terms of security, in terms of product, to allow them to give customer a very robust POC environment, which that to show the capability that the startup company is able to deliver the enterprise grade projects or contracts to eventually meet customer needs, to eliminate the concern from the government as well as the customer's anger to trust the startup company with the level of assurance we have done in TAL.
yeah. I think we've actually experienced this firsthand, the TAL Enterprise Sandbox as well as the TAL Government Sandbox, and of course the capabilities that progressively your team has added is remarkable, I would say.
Okay, this is the sandbox we have done. As I mentioned, we have government sandbox as well as enterprise sandbox. Along the last 3 years, actually it's only 2 years plus, we achieved every year we deploy more than 10 products. So we handhold the company to deploy in the sandbox and invite their customer coming here to try the product. For example, in the government side, 30 products deployed since 2021, and we have accelerated more than 50 government POCs, and you can imagine more than half of them are converted to the paid project. That is showing how people are trusting the product deploying the TAL sandbox. In enterprise, we just launched last year, so we deployed the 10 products, and this deployment actually allow the customer to coming from not just government, they coming from enterprise, even the buyers from the entire region, not just Singapore, for
Yes.
them to do their POCs. So in a very, very short time frame here, we already achieved the 30 enterprise POCs.
So that brings us nicely to the second question. So how does distributed SQL fit into this? So obviously, in our earlier slides, you've seen Yugabyte, which is a distributed SQL product, being featured in a variety of tech accelerator labs and also as part of the accreditation program. So how does it actually address some of the challenges that IMDA is trying to address? Remember, one of the things that they are addressing is obviously the startup ecosystem, but the other one is actually being able to provide with good technology advisory and guidance to the government agencies. So yes, as part of the partnership with IMDA, we got our accreditation in 2022, which has been renewed this year. If for those of you who are hearing about Yugabyte for the first time, it's a distributed PostgreSQL for business critical transactional application. So it provides you with the PostgreSQL capabilities, but without the limits of your typical limits around read writes and things like those. It is able to scale horizontally. It's able to scale seamlessly without having to invest into any extra system or any arduous architecture. It's able to provide resiliency at a local and a global scale. And of course, it's an enterprise ready solution. In a nutshell, this is what a Yugabyte architecture under the hood looks like. So one important difference from a regular Postgres is that you have access to two models. One is the YSQL model, which is a Postgres compatible model, and a Cassandra compatible YCQL model. So this actually gives you the ability to work with two different types of data, non-relational as well as relational data. And of course, the solution is able to seamlessly get deployed on variety of cloud providers, including, of course, GCC and now even GCC Plus. From a minimum evaluation footprint perspective, this is what the architecture looks like. We have one management server kind of a node, and then three minimum nodes for distributed database. So this is exactly what we had deployed in the Tech Accelerator Lab. We'll come to a short demo around that in a bit. But before we go to that, the consumption models that Yugabyte actually offers in this space, one is, of course, a fully managed SaaS service that you can just onboard to without having to worry about your operations post deployment. Yugabyte DB Anywhere is more of a self-managed DBaaS service. Everything is hosted within your environment, within your cloud account. And of course, we have a fully open source offering that you can just download and start using with your own infrastructure. And as part of our partnership with the IMDA, we have actually put together showcases and POC environments with fully private connectivity that are available. We are able to actually set up environments for the agencies to test out with like 1 day lead time. And this is typically good for government agencies to come on board and build resilient and scalable citizen services, data pipelines for moving data across various things. So this is something that we have built. It's built on GCC AWS today, but it can actually be run on Azure as well. This is based on our self-managed DBaaS offering. What we have also done is we have actually built the showcase and environment for the fully managed service. So here, your application runs in your own GCC compartment or VPC, whereas the database runs in a fully managed manner. So it actually takes away the burden of day two operations, your patching and upgrades for the database portion away from you, and actually provides you with a fully managed DBaaS capability. This solution is also available on the Tech Accelerator Lab with like a 1 day lead time to start doing the POC. And this is our latest addition. With our partnership with IMDA, we've actually put together the whole solution on the latest GCC Plus environment, which is like a 2 data center private local zone offering on AWS at the moment. I hope it might get extended to other cloud providers, but for now it's on AWS. What we have done is we've leveraged the capabilities like Kubernetes and EKS in the GCC Plus to do the deployment, to keep the entire system extremely resilient and immune to any sort of minor or major failures. This is ideal for your confidential data classified applications. And of course, if you have high transaction applications, they are all good use cases for using this. This particular solution, it uses the Yugabyte DB Anywhere product, which is a fully self-hosted product. So yeah, it can even run in an air-gapped environment manner. So with that, we will come to a very short demo showing you the capabilities of Yugabyte in the Tech Accelerator Lab today. And let's jump straight into the demo.
So this is Yugabyte Anywhere main user interface. Over here, you can see on the left, we have a few things, which is we have the dashboard, universes, metrics, and so on and so forth. The journey with Yugabyte Anywhere actually begins with configuring the cloud provider. So over here, I have already configured one of the cloud providers. This is a cloud running in the GCC environment, and this is an AWS environment. So let us just quickly examine this. So this is the VPC that we are referring to here. So we copy that name, go over. If we go to the VPCs, you can see that this is one of the VPCs that is running in my GCC account, running in the TAL environment. Now, with this VPC, we have created a ton of things like management subnets and application subnets and ingress and egress. We are following the same standards. So going back, we configure the AWS cloud provider here. And then we also have configured the backup location, which is an S3 bucket on the same GCC environment. And we have also configured the key management service from AWS, also running on the same environment. Now, on top of this particular cloud environment or cloud provider, I have created one database, which is my OrderDB. Now let's go ahead and actually create another database and see how easy it is for you to create and configure this. So I'm going to say demo DB here, and I'm going to select AWS as the cloud provider, Asia Pacific Singapore as the region. Now, this is very important, replication factor. This actually determines what is the level of resiliency that you're going to have in your applications database. So here, I'm setting it up as 3. That means I will have 3 copies of all my data across multiple availability zones. So in this case, it's going to be AZ1A, AZ1B, AZ1C in Singapore. And I can choose what is the machine size that I can that I'm going to have for this database. This is something that I could change later. The number of machines and their sizes is something that I can configure later without disrupting my application. So for now, I will start with something small. I can choose what would be the volume size. Again, this is an expandable parameter later. So let's go ahead and start with something small. So this is going to have 50 GB storage per node. And we will leave the IOPS as is. And then we are going to have, we will let it create a new root certificate for this particular cluster so that it can do the node to node and client and server TLS connections. Now, I am not going to assign public IPs to this. Even if I do, it won't be accessible because of the way we have set it up. So, and I'm going to choose a password here. Let's choose something simple. Okay, so as you can see, I'm enabling the YSQL API, which I spoke of earlier, which is the Postgres compatible API for RDBMS kind of capabilities. And I'm going to enable the YCQL API, which is the Cassandra compatible API for data management. And we are going to choose what would be our encryption at rest key provider or key management service. Now, given all these things, now I have a choice of using which version of the database I want to use. I'm going to go ahead and use a lower version because this is a preview release. This is a stable version. So I'm going to use the stable version. And that's it. That's all it takes for you to actually create it. And in about 10 minutes time, this should actually get done. So now the demo database has actually been created. Let's actually go and look at how long did it take. So we go to the tasks and we see that it was completed, well, in time actually. It took about 6 minutes to finish. And now if I go into the overview, I can see, of course, there are no tables here. It shows me the infrastructure that it has created for this. So if I click through, I should be able to actually see the node that was created for me on the AWS side. I have an existing database where I can actually walk you through this, where you can see all sorts of metrics that are associated with this particular database. Now, to begin with, you have the operations per second for the YSQL API. There aren't much any. This is just the monitoring SQLs that are getting executed against it, and so on and so forth. This is all set up out of box for you. It uses standard Prometheus-based monitoring, so you can actually integrate it with any other monitoring or aggregation solution. Run a third application, which is going to be inserting data and reading data continuously from this cluster. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the Cloud Console and actually create an outage. And let's see what is the impact of that outage on this application. So I'm going to randomly select any one of the nodes in my cloud to actually get rid of. So I will say, let me just narrow it down to the order database. And this is the database. I'm going to go and actually cause this particular instance to stop. So my node 3 is stopped. And now if I go back, and it might take a few minutes or a few seconds to actually stop. But if I go and see here, I will probably see 2 of my rows saying that they are not able to do any transactions. But subsequently, I should actually see proper database transactions happening. So there you go. It took about 3 seconds for the cluster to realign itself. And that's it.
This is our YBA, Yugabyte DB Anywhere, the database as a service platform set up on GCC Plus. We have actually set up the EKS cluster in GCC Plus environment and configured it here to be able to deploy clusters onto the environment quickly from here. As you can see, we are using the local private zone that are associated with the GCC Plus, and we are using zone 1B and zone 1A. The cluster, the database cluster that was created, it is created with the same high resiliency configuration, so it is able to sustain any pod failure and able to cater to the application even while there is any downtime. We've already seen the resiliency demo, so I will not repeat that, but I would just show you another application which is actually using some OpenAI capabilities to demonstrate that how Yugabyte can also be leveraged in OpenAI or Gen AI or RAG kind of use cases. So this is a simple application for searching for movies. Let's say I want to watch a movie about computer engineer saving the world. I don't know which movie you are thinking about, but let's see. And as we go through it, voila, what we get is The Matrix, one of my favorite movies. I'm going to just add it to the library. Now, the library here is actually stored in a table in the Yugabyte database. The movies that you see here are also stored as a library in Yugabyte, but the generative AI capabilities and the RAG capabilities are being leveraged to make the search more intuitive. The prompt-based search is being actually created here using Yugabyte DB. If I go and look at the database for the user, you can see the Matrix movie was added here. So this is how easy it is for you to even leverage Yugabyte DB for some sort of Gen AI use cases, even in GCC Plus environment. I hope that was very useful for you to see how Yugabyte works really well in the various Tech Accelerator Lab and the GCC and GCC Plus kind of environments. Yeah. And for those of you with budding startups, I would highly encourage you to reach out to Infocom Media Development Authority. With that,
And I'm always
thank you very
happy to
much.
work with various startup company to understand their technology, to understand how their pain point, and from that we try to help them with various means. We are always flexible to change our way of working to help the company.
Yeah, it's always been a great learning experience for me personally, working with Vansiang and the IMDA team, and I hope the other companies find it the same. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. Thank you very much, Vansiang, for actually sharing about various IMDA programs with our attendees today.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Bye.